First Braxis holdout of the tournament.
Yep, and now we have one more Braxis holdout games than we have Cursed Hollow.
There you go. All right, well, it's time now to get into game number 2 as Tempo Storm looks to try and tie up this series, and they take us to Braxis holdout, which notoriously became a North American special.
Let's see what sort of style this map becomes, because we've seen teams actually play very heavy wave clear styles on this map and just play the objective, but we've also seen, especially out of North America, cheese compositions on this battleground where we see just heavy push and trying to get structural damage done, win one lane so hard and push all the way down to the keep. We saw Roll20 do this at BlizzCon last year. Doesn't look like it's going to be that type of comp, but the Phoenix priority here is quite high.
Phoenix has been used in several regions, even using the Planet Cracker as a way to clear the Zerg. This has been a consistent theme in several regions, but when Phoenix was released, but it's been a really long time since we've seen Braxis.
Yes.
So it is the question of if that strategy we're going for, but Tempo Storm, they now have a solo laner in the form of Dahaka, a potential second solo laner if they want Dahaka to rotate. Phoenix can take over that for a while.
Surely, though, there's got to be a little bit of a scared moment here for Ballistix, considering Tempo Storm took them here, and then Tempo Storm locks in a Phoenix that quickly, with that kind of battle plan available to them coming into this series.
Yeah, I mean, the Phoenix priority that high on it's where I was wondering if they'd even try and go for a Jaina, quite honestly, if they'd value that highly, because I feel like when it comes to Ballistix ban, at the very least, it's just going to be that stock standard. In my Jaina, we're going to see it every single time. Tempo Storm's ban, I feel like, is a little bit harder, potentially to the Blaze, based on what we saw last game. It really does counteract what they're trying to do. Get in your face, try and get some kills. Obviously, offers fantastic wave clear, and he seemed to have Glaurung's number on Towers of Doom.
Zeratul what they banned last game. We had, again, identical drafts pretty much coming through. They banned it again. I think Zeratul's less powerful in this case, just simply because wave clear is so important on this battleground. And sure, you can try to dive the Phoenix, you can try to harass them, but positionally, there's not a whole lot you could do. With Zeratul, it's very difficult to actually get into that backline on this battleground.
I mean, you say that, but long tails of Whoopi on Zeratul on this map, just controlling the battleground itself, not necessarily the waves, is something that's kind of scary.
Very true. Anyone who has that mobility to rotate from top to bottom, especially if you're not showing on the minimap, which, of course, Zeratul Invisibility does not, you can really make some impactful plays late game if your opponents are trying to chase you around and don't know where you are.
Yeah, I'm big fans of the ideas of what, your Genjis, your Zeratuls, your, even your Tracers, right? Yes, you have to play a little bit differently for the map. Doesn't really spring to mind about the best map control, but it's all about the ability to sort of cycle those lanes, consistently keep those teams guessing and sort of find those kills.
They changed the map's dynamic, which is the most important factor.
They flip it on its head and then looking to really abuse that fog of war, and you feel like you're safe, you feel like you've got that point under control. Suddenly, somebody rocks on up and they just change that dynamic.
Well, Jaina's available. They're not going to take it. They're going to take the Falstad here instead, so just totally controlling the globals at the moment. And it will be Deckard coming in for support, so I haven't seen too much Deckard Cain out of Tempo Storm just yet, so switching up their priority on support here. And this is going to be a composition that has a lot of slows, a lot of root potential here. But when you look at the front line of Ballistix, the Garrosh, he's not really going to be too concerned about that. Hanzo's going to be in the back line. And if Ballistix drafts more range-focused here, like the Li Ming I really wanted to see last game, that I don't know if this Deckard Cain is really going to hold water. Let's find out what Ballistix wants to run, because they did bring the Phoenix in the last time. That's obviously not the choice that they have available this time, with Tempo's priority of it in that first rotation.
The Blaze still available as well, if that's what they want to go for in their solo lane. Sonya also can gain some pretty decent value. And then we start to move more into the niche picks, like perhaps the Rexar we have seen used on this map to pretty great effect, honestly, by the teams that were willing to risk bringing it out.
I still feel like Tracer Tassadar does have a place. Yes, it wouldn't be as strong because you're going to be running that solo tank that we saw Tempest do with the Garrosh, but I feel like it gives you the wave clear and it does allow you to rotate around, but they're going to stick to the true and trusted, which is the cooldown for STE, which is fantastic for this map to really punish, to try and isolate out those members, and looking to try and target definitely the Deckard Cain with that Horrify. And the Blaze, as I mentioned, if it's not going to be banned, it's going to be a staple for Jongha in that top lane.
Not many games played and not a great win percentage here either for the Gul'dan, but as you mentioned, Skibby, this is a fantastic map for him as you are in the 4-man. And we're going in with the Muradin, someone who can eat that harassment from the Gul'dan and back up to his Deckard, get some potions, get his second wind in. Very solid hero when you're in that 4-man lane, so you can rotate out on the objective.
Yeah, I think the Gul'dan's really strong against Deckard Cain in general. We haven't really seen this matchup just yet, but Deckard Cain dropped potions on the ground, but they're single target heals in a weird way. You can pre-place them right, but because of how Gul'dan works with his slow damage over time and his ability to hit multiple members and kind of burn them down, Deckard Cain doesn't really deal with that very well. He's fantastic with the wave clear, so I really, really like this pick. It's an old favorite for SDE, as you mentioned, and I really, really like the draft here for Ballistix.
Time to start predictions.
I completely agree about the Gul'dan, but I don't agree that I think they're going to... Actually, I don't know if I think you're going to win. We'll see in a second. I'm going with Tempo Storm because I think the double global rotational domination they have, add the Phoenix in for that teleportation, the rotations from Tempo Storm are going to be so hard to counter.
I think Tempo Storm is good at macro, but they haven't shown a whole lot of it in this tournament. It's been more the aggression. So if they can... make the macro work, I would give them a bigger shot here, but so far it's been just aggro, initiation, burst damage, so I'm going to have to stick with Ballistix.
Wolf just took the words right out of my mouth. We've only seen aggression from them so far, so yes, it is Brax's hold up, the first one of this tournament. Yes, we haven't really seen what they can show in that macro sense, but I'm going to stick with my guns here for Ballistix. I feel like they're going to come into the situation like we don't want to be the team that loses to North America. We've lost 3 times already. This is the best of 5. This is our time to shine, so Ballistix once again.
And because it is Brax's holdout, and I'm giving my North American friends the benefit of the doubt, and to see what they're going to be doing here, it's going to be Tempo Storm, and let's see if they can perform. They've already been able to stand toe-to-toe with Ballistix in a lot of the matches throughout this tournament, so let's see if they can continue that trend. Although, at home, 67% of you believe that Ballistix is going to be flying on forwards. It's just as if they won the last map. And that's how that goes. So let's check in with our commentators, who we have 2 North American representatives, at least, that I think are going to be happy to see some Brax's holdout, hey?
I mean, so the emotional response we saw before, I feel like it's now translating over the draft. Because I look at that draft and I go, where's Tempo Storm and why would they replace with Method?
Okay.
Seriously, it's very much not against that. The Battleground, I do agree, it's going to be an upper hand here, but this is not what we normally know from Tempo Storm.
Dread, I don't remember the last time I saw a North American Braxis game without Abathur.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. It's going to be very, very difficult, I think, here for Tempo.
All right, gentlemen, we'll take it away.
Well, again, I kind of wondered when I first started to see that draft, was it going to be the solo Abathur? It's not. Instead, we're playing straight up here, and this is not what I expected, but for Tempo to Storm to turn it around, North America, see if we can bust Braxis out.
We're about to find out here, as it is typically the ban there for Ballistix, and they are here in the blue. Hooligan going to be on his Garrosh, Magi playing Malfurion, Hanzo played by SC, SDE going to be on the Gul'dan, and Zhengha on Blaze.
For Tempo Storm, they're going to be on the right in red, as we will see Glaurung up top. He's going to be on the Dahaka. In the 4-man, we're going to have Psalm on Phoenix, Fan on Falstad, June on that Deckard, Caterpillar on Murd, and give it up for Tempo.
Starting to get some fans up in here. Into the crowd early morning here at the Mid-Season Brawl in Jönköping, Sweden. It's going to be a 1-4 split for Ballistix. So one thing we have to bring to light. 1-4 has died for a lot of teams, especially in the Western world when looking at Ballistix. A 3-2 split with a heavy rotation or a 1-3-1 with the 3-man gang squad is very much the paradigm that North America has adopted when looking at Brax's holdout. So already, I would say Ballistix either needs to find a way to have drastic kill potential within their 4, which, yeah, they've got quite a bit there on the bottom half, or find a way to be able to kind of deal with these rotations and things of the like. But as we have said, even though this is North American's map selection and maybe the weakness against Ballistix, this is not the approach we have seen in the past with these globals of the like.
For Tempo here, this is a weird spot to be in, is the response from Ballistix. You can see them feigning the Gul'dan up. Falstad does not have very good wave clear. So if Gul'dan simply pushes this lane in and there's no threat, then this is a pretty easy opportunity. Instead, we're seeing Tempo go with a different approach, a clear game plan coming in here, as they're going to prioritize this camp here at the top right, alleviate some of the pressure, but now an instant response bottom for Ballistix is exactly what you would expect to counteract this. And with the amount of wave clear that they have, they can continue to do this until Tempo Storm comes down.
And I think we need to highlight that Stormbolt there from Caterpillar looking forward. It was just uncharacteristic, definitely not within the maximum range to be able to hit it there. And we still saw him, take the risk to be able to throw it out. It didn't cost them anything, but that's very not what we're used to seeing with Caterpillar and friends. And I can't help but feel like, again, a little bit jarred after the heavy momentum swing we experienced on Towers of Doom. Fan able to dodge that Groundbreaker. He will still have life here as the tri-lane on the top half for Tempo Storm is dominating. Again, this is what I was talking about. SDE actually going to drop the drain of life there, and Tempo Storm picking up first blood on the top half. The 3-2 split is something that Ballistix has to be able to react to, and right now they don't know how to deal with it, it looks like.
It doesn't seem like they know how to deal with it. This is something where Kalaris is like, hey, I'm going for NA because it's Braxis, and Korea doesn't play Braxis. And normally if you ever look at Korean drafts, when it looks at bans, it's normally a lot of Braxis. But now here, things are changing the tone a little bit. We see the tower here on the bottom side of the map. That's going to be the entire wall going down, but that entire wall already down on the side of Ballistix. And I wonder if Tempo Storm will try and switch this up, or whether they'll just try and continue the pressure in the top lane.
Door toss already used, so Caterpillar maybe going to get caught out. Fan actually with that root, forcing the barrel roll. Not enough for lethal there quite yet, but when it comes to the siege race, as you see there in the bottom left-hand section, Tempo Storm dominating when it comes to this race. Now we got to highlight one thing. Ballistix is going to hit a moment when that top 4 dies, Tempo just swaps the 3-2. They're going to cycle back and get more experience through the bottom 4, and that's really where they're looking to snowball this game. The Zerg and the Beacon progress is not what Tempo is focused on. It's sieging, getting the experience on one half, and then cycle it out and make that exact same thing happen on the opposite.
Well, here they go, and they're diving in deep, trying to see if they can find SDE out again. The body block on that, but Glaurung says body block this as he gets another drag in. That's going to be a second takedown. Psalm, however, I don't think he has a blank, but it doesn't matter. No damage here. This will be Tempo Storm taking this top fort and the early game control. Magi and SC, they dove deep for that dread.
Yeah, very well done there. I think they actually did a good job of using that bottom section as well to alter who's actually wearing the turret shots there to make sure they do survive. So Ballistix here is fighting back, but as I said here, the top 4 dies, and this is where we can expect that rotation of 3-2 split. Suddenly we're going to see Falstad on the top half of the map, Murden aiding him there, and the rest of the tri-lane cycling back in. Tempo Storm is getting what they want. The question is, can they maintain this? Because we saw very much in the last game when things got out of hand, they got out of hand quick.
I just like the approach here. Clearly their strategy is, look, nobody's going to expect this 1-minute camp up at the top right, push in. It worked for them. Now they're cycling down. I think this, had the Falstad death not happened, it might have been a little bit quicker, but now they're going to have to camp in the bottom lane, maybe have similar pressure. But they're also looking at an invade. Cattle sniff this out. They have level 7 here in just a moment. You can see all members of Ballistix rotating up, not conceding to that global of Dahaka.
Psalm very close to death there as that oil landing. Hooligan just barely out of range from the groundbreaker opportunity. And this is interesting. Tempo is not going with a full cycle of rotation when it comes to the pressure that they're applying. Again, I expected very much for them to focus on the bottom half, but they're still concentrating on that top half of the battleground, and that is going to hurt them, and to some extent, this kill potential and skirmishing capabilities of Ballistix, if they keep staying on that top half with the distance of safety being so much drastically longer than that of bottom. I can't help but feel like this is one of those moments where, again, the game plan kind of not going 100% to plan, and Tempo failing to maybe know how to react to it. We'll find out, though. I think that's still a moment to be proved here, but I am scared just based on the fact that it wasn't such a clean transition to the southern lane.
I expected the exact same, but we'll see what their plan is as it continues to unfold here. They're going in. Roots are going to be dropped down. Cattle eating quite a bit of damage, trying to return some of his own as the Stormbolt's going to land, but SC is just giving them fits, putting out the damage in return.
It's a 5-man collapse for Ballistix over the bottom lane. They have to be looking to all in this fort or something like here, because Dahaka is still showing himself on top. Cattle able to survive there as the root ends up getting thrown down, Stormbolt thrown out, but it's just merely to, kind of send a message. I'm here, we're just hanging out. Dahaka will have that pressure on the top half, and that is where we can expect a heavy transition for Tempo on bottom.
They're going up right now. This is actually a huge collapse by Ballistix. We'll see if they can get the lockdown. Garrosh is actually going to go top, because I imagine this is very well done by Ballistix, because that Tempo Storm wanted to try and get that 5v4 in the bot lane with that response top. Instead, Garrosh knows that they aren't going to be going top. They're not going to be defending. Glaurung did use his Brush Stalker. Cattle just trying to be the anchor, try and disrupt the rotation here.
Yeah. And now, kind of with that in light, as we have seen it happen here, that very much was the thought process for Tempo. Rather than get the full pressure, keep the pressure on the top half, draw rotation, and then gain an advantage. Now we do see the 1-4 split. Dahaka and Blaze still making the rotation down. No brush stock going to be 74% in counting here for Tempo Storm. It is going to be 100% Zerg rush. The question is, can they get a kill on the Glaurung? And it doesn't look like Dahaka has applied that pressure. Tempo is going to be rounding 10 significantly faster than Ballistix, and this game might be going exactly the plan for Tempo. They want to siege this up and ideally get a keep.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going into a Gul'dan and a Hanzo with that explosive arrow at 4 is tough. However, this lane is prepped. One tower goes down in this wave here, we're going to be at 10.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden with heroics, that defensive posture that you might see out of Gul'dan might be a little bit further back. And we'll see if Tempo Storm, if he does go forward, if they look to engage, they're taking down the sidewall, Tempo Storm, see if they go in.
They're in a prime position for a flight gust sieging capability too, as long as Falstad gets into fog, which he is making the rotation right now to make that happen. A little bit slower. And now with the Zerg Rush at least getting poked and prod, the Falstad flight is not going to be too big of an option, as Lornado actually is the heroic choice here coming out from June.
This is just such a tough spot to be in. Again, a Gul'dan alone on Brax's holdout is so difficult to deal with. It looks like we might see a boss rotation coming in with that threat of 10. You have the gust.
Clever.
It might just be going for this and just try and take control of this map even further during the downtime.
And for anybody wondering why is SC casually back and forthing wearing that damage out for that Guardian, the answer is when that dies, the boss opportunity becomes very real for Tempo. It doesn't spawn until that is killed, but Ballistix has no way to defend that until they hit 10, so they're trying to keep it alive as long as possible, pick up their 10s, but it comes at a cost with a positional advantage. They have a 4 versus 5 on bottom, but Cattle actually getting chunked out. He's wearing the turret damage. This is going to be Cattle falling down, Tempo trying to keep the stuff alive. Great gust to interrupt the jet propulsion and keep Cattle up here. But I can't help but feel with how big of a major power spike Tempo Storm just had, they did not get nearly as much out of it as they would have liked.
Missed opportunity for sure, but credit to SE for, as you said, making sure he did not clear that wave, getting 10. But Cattle getting that dwarf toss interrupt in the middle of that definitely created a problem. Now Tempo Storm will be facing a Ballistix team with level 10. They do still have a full level lead. Sniffing out the boss is Ballistix, making sure that Tempo Storm not there. I am curious, the Lornado pickup. Obviously it works well, I think, when we get into those situations around the Zerg waves, things of that nature. But this is our first real glimpse at how effective it can or cannot be. And we'll find out as this game goes on.
I will say, I have been surprised at this tournament at how consistent Say a While Listen has been, especially with its kind of mixed results throughout the entirety of the tournament. Not only would I argue Lornado is a bit more forgiving purely on a cooldown sense, but also when it comes to the trade-off of the teamfight, Deckard is not stuck in that kind of one-shot position like we normally see him happen with that Say a While Listen fan, able to sniff out that a lot of pressure here on the bottom half. But the siege here from Ballistix is gaining them quite a bit. Tempo Storm hasn't really been too proactive here. A lot of pressure onto the mercenaries and still focused towards that top lane. But as we said, we expected normal Braxis approaches to once one fort's down, get the fort on the other half. And Tempo is just hyper-focused on sieging towards top.
See if they switch it up a little bit. As the scatter arrow goes out, the response of Blaze is there. Sonic arrows here. I'll be surprised if Tempo stays on this. They do have Gust, they do have Lornado. I just feel it's super risky to take right now.
We have 22 seconds here until beacons going to spawn for both teams. Blaze is still yet to get a full clear. Actually, there he goes, finishing up the wave. Tempo Storm is not going to have the 13 talents here immediately with that kind of advantage over Ballistix. So this is a huge window of opportunity for Ballistix to be able to force that fight, abuse how great of a 5 versus 5 teamfight composition they have than Tempo Storm. And this is one of those moments where I go, Tempo wishes and absolutely wants to be in a position where they're like, we have the 13, we were able to force them, we were able to snowball this game out of control. They came at a cost with their composition to dominate the laning phase, to sacrifice team fighting, but I don't think they have gotten enough out of it for Ballistix to be too feared. But we're about to find out.
Falstad still bot lane. See if he gets enough eyes on the rest of the members of Ballistix before he goes to obtain control. He's going to go ahead and try and defend. Glaurung as well, already used his global, so they've neutralized this. They've given up 18% so far. Tempo Storm Dreadnought, however, is about to round 13. We've seen them let their foot off the gas just a little bit, but with that talent here, we'll see if they can get it, but will they have the opportunity as the taunt, the root, the gust not enough, and Ballistix gets a takedown.
Can't help but feel like that was a little bit too late there from Fan to go up with the Gust, obviously with the death happening, but it's one of those situations, the minute you see that taunt, if you think that there is going to be a 5-man kill potential, the Gust has to come out immediately there. Good job from Ballistix though, able to gain the upper hand. We're still 12 seconds out, and Dahaka also brushed out to the bottom lane, so I'm not sure he's going to have that immediately on cooldown here. Tempo posturing up. June able to keep Cattle alive a little bit longer as the bunker drop there from Jung Ha, trying to threaten Cattle away. Cattle falling very low. Dragon Zero is going to connect, and Jet proposing follow-up there. Tempo getting confident, and Ballistix just shutting it down.
This is just very reminiscent of game number 1.
Yep.
That Dragon Arrow from SC to help lock down yet another kill. And now we're going to be looking at this Zerg phase will likely be at 100%, and it's going to be Tempo Storm's time to defend against this. They do have
Drag.
Wallstad. There's going to be a drag. If they get a kill here, this would be very, very good for them.
He's on an island here. Isolation actually going to be used to make sure there are no top to be able to survive. Gus to enforce the fact that Jung Ha can't get a major flank here, and actually Tempo Storm holding on here, at least finding some way to fight back. Not such an emotional response like we saw before. And here comes the Planet Cracker to get the clear here onto the Zerg Rush. You know, it's not so much a North American special. We've seen it, you know, all over the world, bits and pieces here and there, but Braxa seems to be a bit more of our kind of battleground, and it's nice to be able to see that come to light here, even when Tempo Storm's tournament life is on the line.
The first time I saw that, I was like, that's kind of like a lava wave. And that's, if you need wave clear, it's one way to do it. So it works out here on Braxis, and their towers, I think, were basically unscathed at the end of it.
Can sacrifice that Zerg Rush, but it's not going to be something they can do for the entirety of this game. At some point, a skirmish has to be approached by Tempo Storm, and they are yet to really take a full 5-on-5. And again, I feel like they are going to struggle a little bit heavier if we do see those kind of skirmishes without a major isolation play. And I say that not talking about the Dahaka, more so when looking at the gust opportunities for Tempo Storm.
Right now, things fairly even. Still structure advantage over in Tempo Storm's favor. The next Zerg Wave Dreadnought will again be that top lane for Tempo Storm if they are able to obtain a little bit of a push there. And if obviously the bigger one, again, Gul'dan makes that so difficult to push with. Any other hero outside of maybe a Sylvanas, which obviously isn't meta, but Gul'dan does it the clear, and then obviously Phoenix now with Planet Cracker. But your general non-heroic clear, Gul'dan, so strong at this. We'll see if Tempo Storm can maybe get an advantage in that top lane with catapults.
A dismount feels so bad. Able to wear it there off the sidewall. One of the worst feelings in Heroes of the Storm for me right there. Tempo still yet to apply too much pressure to this bottom half. But again, their distance to safety now in this bottom lane. If things go south, they're going to go south for a long while, as they have a long trek back to any form of structures to defend onto their half. Falstead and friends, you know, they've done their best to be able to try and make that top a threat. And if it's ever going to become one, it needs to happen now here for Tempo Storm.
Next beacon phase underway momentarily. Fan continuing to push out that top lane. We do see Blaze. Jung Ha is going to show up in that top, so we'll see if Tempo Storm tries to make that isolation play you were talking about.
Oh.
That's right there.
We see a ping in that back shrub. Maybe a bit fear of a flank there. 1 second out, beacon up. Top will be controlled for Tempo Storm. Fan still, again, trying to make top demand respect from Ballistix and get somebody up there. Jung Ha will make the transition. 16 will be picked up a fraction of a second earlier for Tempo Storm, but we said the same when looking at 13 beacons, and it got them really nothing when looking at that. So we'll see if they can make a different tale here over the 16 talent here.
Well, Lucan's holding point while the rest of his team picks up that camp on the backside of the map there. Now, here we go. There's going to be the drag. It's going to land. The roots go down. Indomitable's going to be used, dodging that. Now Glaurung tossed in.
Glaurung's tossed in, and he's going to get, actually, Garrosh taunted used. Keep in mind, Falstead is staying top the whole time. Tempo Storm is split sieging. Planet Cracker goes down. Tempo needs to get the disengage here. Their whole intent is just to get Zerg potential, get damage on the top half, and then disengage. As you see their fan doing his best on the top half. Now the keep residing at 50%. Very cleverly done from Tempo Storm. And keep in mind, the next time that they make that happen, they're going to want to do it with the gust to get that disengage in the downtime. And that, I can't help but feel like highlights why we see that Lornado selection from Tempo. Such a good disengage tool.
You can see the soft engage. Fan got to be careful here. The rest of Ballistix is going to be there. He has the gust, but he has to get the flight out.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, Falstead can actually get hit in his flight animation. He can hit mines and things of the like. I think what you just witnessed there is a last second flight actually going off, but then the damage of the Dragon's Arrow connecting. This was pixel perfect. Oh my goodness. If that hits a fraction of a second earlier, Fan is dead and Tempo loses so much control of Braxis.
I think another thing to note, Dreadnought, to that point of that top lane is, yes, it's now going to continue to be under pressure, but again, the Zerg wave in that top lane, that keep will 100% fall, barring some team fight beyond that, but it can Tempo Storm potentially in the game now with that keep being very low and start to threaten the core. You can see the bottom lane push here, getting some experience, getting that keep tower down, netting them a little bit of a lead so far here in terms of experience, but Ballistix, they're rotating down. Gonna look for a fight, maybe look for control here. Cattle holding position.
Hooligan drops a groundbreaker. Scatter arrow going to connect. Flipping over was going to be Cattle, but a big root coming out from June. Lornado already going to be dropped. Bunker is there. Jungha, the only man in it. Hooligan trying to track down June there, but the Lornado again buying a bit of breathing room for Tempo Storm. Dahaka securing the top altar. No possession of double altars here for Ballistix. No percentage to be gained there.
Is risky.
But this is very high risk for Tempo. After so many cooldowns, Root's going to land on the Cattle. He has a dwarf toss out, but June is going to get flipped over. They need a gust opportunity, but no Falstad to be seen at any point in time, and that is one dead June. Tempo trying to get the siege on the top half to try and make sure they get this keep. It comes at a benefit, but without minions, that is just a dead June in 40 seconds for Ballistix to gain that percentage on the beacon.
That was so risky. The fact, I mean, yes, you have double global, but they were so far away, and there was no way they could get there in time, as we're going to see the toss off. Hooligan going to buy a little bit of time. Now Dahaka and Falstad in the top lane. It looks like we might be trying to set up a Horrify. This time, Fan does have Gust available.
He's going to
try and take this down.
He's got a Gust.
He's got a Gust, but he's got to fly out, see if SC can... Oh, that he did not.
He doesn't get it.
No.
Honestly, I think it was a bit optimistic to even think they could Gust play out of that situation. If you're going to do that, you need to do that before any of the damage. I thought that was for sure a all-in opportunity. Even then, I don't think he would have gotten the keep there. So another kind of Hail Mary opportunity here. And we got to be reflecting back on game number 1 and how fast the momentum got out of control and Ballistix was able to turn around this game. Tempo started with a bit of control, but very much feels like it is falling out from their grasp as we have a Zerg rush and a boss.
Keep in mind, that Planet Cracker was used in the last team fight when they got desperate, so they are 30 seconds away from having that wave clear. The boss will be going top lane. It will neutralize some of the minions, but the Zerg wave here in the bottom is now Ballistix. They're going to try and get aggressive, see what they can do. Falstad still 5 seconds from spawning. We'll see what Phoenix can do in the meantime, because their wave clear is not good here, and the sieging potential of Ballistix is incredibly strong.
Keep now going to be the focus.
They might be going
drag onto Garrosh. They need to be able to get a kill, find a way to be able to buy time. And as you say, kind of highlighted, they might be going for the game here. Is Bunker already going to go down? Planet Cracker used from Tempo Storm. We see Hooligan in a bad spot for a moment. Gus buys a little bit of time there. Hooligan seems to be the focus there for Tempo Storm. Horrify ends up getting dropped though, and Glorong is going to be the first member to fall here in the skirmish. Saw him quick to follow here as now we see Ballistix focusing onto the core, and the shielding, it's gone.
Shielding also down on the side of Ballistix, but there are many members here of Ballistix on the core of Tempo Storm, and just like game number 1, Ballistix with a late game turnaround is going to take game number 2, and Tempo Storm continuing to have late game struggles here, Dread.
I can't help but feel like here, after what we have seen from Tempo Storm within the group stage and then the amount of pressure applied, often when we look at North America, we go, they are able to perform far better within the region than at the international stage. And in the group stage, it did not look like that was the case, at least not for Tempo Storm. But once we get beyond that point, when the pressure gets that much higher, it still feels like it is a breaking point here for North America, as they are now sitting at 1 game away